Hello. What to sow in September? I'm Zorab and this is Byther Farm. What seeds can I sow in September to keep my productive veg garden going right through the year? So I need to begin once again by reminding you you'll need to adjust your sowing times according to your area, and do check on the back of your seed packets because they will very often give sowing guides and any hints and tips you might need about covering your seeds during the winter if you're likely to get a lot of frost. And some seeds don't need covering at all because they're hardy, and others will need a bit of protection. So I have a seed bed here, and I've just tried to make sure the worst of the weeds are out of it. And I'm just using a stick to make a straight line in the soil to give me an approximate guide of where I'm going to sow. You can sow turnips now. They're fairly quick to mature, and you can have baby turnips about the size of a golf ball in around 6 weeks. So sown any time in September, you should be able to harvest these before the frosts arrive here in the UK. We garden in the equivalent of USA hardiness zone 8. If you want to know more about our climate, where I wear these gloves, I'll leave a link on the screen and in the description box below with answers to all those frequently asked questions. This particular variety of turnip is called Goldana, but I'm also going to be growing a little bit of purple top Milan and a little white one I think it's called Snowball. So in between those rows, I'm then going to intercrop with some spinach. Now I'm not growing this for big spinach plants, but for the baby leaves. The spinach that I planted last month has come up and it's just starting to get some baby leaves. So I can begin harvesting these to add to salads. And you can continue to sow radish. It's a really quick crop, maybe 2 to 3 weeks before you can harvest it. This is a variety called Cherry Bell, which I'm really enjoying, and I think I might have left this one quite a bit too long. But this is a variety called Viola. Now this is probably going to be quite tough and woody, and it's split along here from getting a sudden rush of water with all the rain we've had recently. But I'm going to take this one in and I'm going to grate it, and I'll mix it with either a little yoghurt or mayonnaise, and I'll use it like a horseradish sauce. Adds a little bit of heat and a little bit of pepperiness with cold meats and cheese. And spring onions can be sown. I'm going to grow 2 varieties over winter, one called Guardsman and also White Lisbon. Now I find Guardsman slightly faster growing than White Lisbon is, so I'm going to grow 1 row of Guardsman, and I sow them not very thickly but certainly not thinly, and I find they will just push themselves apart and space themselves, give themselves enough room to grow. So I'll put in 1 of Guardsman, 1 of White Lisbon, and then hopefully, as long as I harvest them when they're young, I'll be able to have them this side of Christmas, and failing that, it will be in the new year and in early spring, and they'll start to bulb up then. And you can start spring cabbages now. I'm going to sow mine in modules, and I'm going to sow it and put it straight under netting to protect it from the last of the year's cabbage white butterflies and cabbage moths. The plants that I've got in here that have been growing since the spring have done really well by being protected. We've got fairly football sized cabbages, and the more pointy conical cabbages are doing really well too. So I'm going to keep those seedlings covered to start with. I will take the covers off in around November. The butterflies will be mostly gone by then, and having the air circulating around them is a very good idea, except for the cabbages that I'm growing in the raised bed garden, because the ducks will be allowed in there, and so I'll keep those netted to protect the cabbages from the ducks. And September is a great time to start sowing winter lettuces like winter imperial and winter density, because that means they can follow on from the summer lettuces, and you'll just have a continuous supply of salad leaves. But it's not just lettuces, you can also grow mustards and other salad leaves like mibuna. I'm going to be growing mustard oriental ruby streaks, and that's one that I saved lots and lots of seeds from, and while I was doing that lots of them spilled out onto the floor, so I've already got it growing in the pathways over near the polytunnel. I'll also be sowing a mustard green in the snow, and there's a whole range of mustard leaves and salad leaves and also oriental leaves that you can start growing now for harvesting throughout the autumn and winter. And don't forget things like Chinese cabbages and also Chinese broccoli. So things like what brock, which is a very quick broccoli, and you just harvest the very young leaves and shoots. And then also things like Chinese kale, and I'll leave links to the seeds and their varieties in the video description, both for the UK and for the USA. Peas are generally hardy in our climate, so they can be sown now and grown for their pea shoots to add to salads. If you have some indoor space like a greenhouse, a polytunnel, or even your kitchen windowsill, you can sow some peas. You can sow them quite thickly in a shallow tray, just let them grow, and then in just a few weeks time you'll have young shoots that you can harvest and leave them there, because they'll then grow some more. You should be able to get 3, 4 or maybe even 5 harvests from them before they've exhausted the soil. And if you're not sure whether you'll like pea shoots, well, if you like peas, the chances are you will like the shoots. They taste just like peas. And you can start sowing broad beans, also known as fava beans. Choose a variety that's good for overwintering, something like Aqua Dulce Claudia. Now, I don't sow mine this time of year because I have just been slugged in previous years, so I wait until spring to sow mine. But if you sow them now, they'll germinate and they'll start growing, and then when spring comes you already have healthy young plants to really get growing quickly once it warms up. You can plant onion sets of things like Troy and Radar. And you can also sow seeds of an overwintering onion like Senchu Yellow. You can also sow kale, not for these lovely big leaves of a mature plant, but for the baby leaves. And they taste like kale. They grow quite quickly, so within 5 or 6 weeks you can be harvesting those kale leaves. They're great in salads, but you can also add them to stir fries and to omelettes, or just steam them lightly and use them as a side dish. In many places it's been a really difficult year for potatoes. An awful lot of them have succumbed to blight, like these ones have. These were my second sowing of them, so I sowed these in late June, maybe early July. I'm fairly sure we will have a small crop from these. I'm going to leave them a few more days, even though they've got blight on them. It's not a really severe case. I'll keep an eye, make sure it doesn't start travelling down towards the tubers. But it's not too late to grow potatoes. You can sow 2 or 3 seeds in a large bucket. You could sow them outside, but you'd need a way of being able to protect them from frost, so in a bucket or container is better. And then when there's a risk of frost, you can take them inside, and that can either be a polytunnel or a greenhouse, or even into your porch, or if really necessary, into your kitchen, and then just protect them from frost. And you may find that you'll get a harvest even before Christmas, but if you sow towards the end of September, you'll more than likely have a Christmas harvest of potatoes. If you enjoyed this video and it's been of use, please give it a thumbs up or leave a comment. If you haven't enjoyed it, please help me make better videos by letting me know why. And so, wherever you are in the world and whatever you've got planned for today, I hope it's a good one. And I also hope you'll join me again next time.